We're going to talk today about, obviously, ag biotech. That's why all of you are here and what all of you work in. And I wanted to set that up to be within the framework of products that we're comfortable with. Our company associations and all of our affiliates fully recognize the food and environmental safety of these products, as do your governments that have processes in place to evaluate the food safety and environmental safety of the products. So to set the stage for today's discussions, we wanted to make it clear that we're dealing with products that are safe, that your governments look at and consider to be safe, both environmentally and for food safety purposes. And within that context, talk about some of the realities of trade of these products. So I've got some points here around food safety, and this is something we'll be talking about in more detail today. But really, we're dealing with products that are the same as conventional food products. They've been considered to be substantially equivalent to conventional food products. And with respect to environmental safety, something that we're not focusing on today, but certainly something that comes into play when we talk about ag biotech products, we again recognize that these are stringently tested and regulated for environmental safety. And in fact, we're really starting to see some very clear benefits of the technology in terms of the environment. And these are becoming more and more recognized, something that we'll hear about today. Now, with respect to the agenda item for today, of course, we can't deal with these policy issues in a vacuum. And so what I've done is just a quick slide to outline some of the international priorities for the private sector, speaking on behalf of the biotechnology industry. And these factors come into play regardless of what policy issue we're talking about. Obviously, it's very important to our industry to be regulated in a transparent and science-based manner. The Biotechnology Industry Organization is supportive of government regulation in this manner. We recognize the value in a working and functional regulatory process. Part of that is a functioning and timely approval system. So one of the key goals for our industry working globally is dealing with approval systems that have predictable timelines and predictable outcomes. This is something that's a goal of ours to work on internationally and something we've talked about many of your governments with. Some of the other issues that we're focused on today deal with general policy issues, and some are in international fora, like the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. This is a policy area that affects environmental risk assessment over food safety assessment, but it's an area that I'm sure most of your governments are talking about more and more over the coming days as we prepare for the meeting of the parties to the protocol. One of the issues that we're going to talk about today is with respect to adventitious presence policies. And as I outline all of these international issues that are relevant to the private sector, we're really today picking out one in the framework of really building a workable, science-based and transparent regulatory system. So when we talk from the industry perspective about adventitious, or these days as it's becoming known, low-level presence, we talk there about a low-level or unintended presence of biotech material in food, feed, or grain. And these are at levels that are recognized to be consistent with generally accepted agricultural and manufacturing practices. So these are levels that are common in terms of to be expected in these products, and it's unintended and very low level. And of course, within the framework of what we're talking about today, we're talking about products that have been authorized as safe for use in food, feed, or grain products in one or more countries. That country is obviously going to be the country of cultivation at a minimum. So these are products that at least one country has determined to be safe. And we're not talking today about experimental traits that haven't been authorized as safe in any country. We're really limiting the scope of today's discussion around adventitious presence to products that are determined to be safe. And I'll talk very briefly now about the Global AP Coalition. From BIO's perspective, whenever we engage with governments or international organizations on global policy issues, we try to do so in a way that is fully informed of all of our industry stakeholders. And so with respect to this issue of adventitious presence, we've created a coalition that includes food product companies, grain and feed industry, seed industry, and the biotechnology providers. And what we try to do is work on policy issues related to adventitious presence or low-level presence from this perspective, very broad perspective, so that we're fully informed on all of the potential implications coming from the industry side and going back to government policy and government regulation. So it's within this context that we're presenting our topic on the agenda today. We have representatives from the Global AP Coalition, from all members of this coalition, to try and provide a discussion that hopefully will be informative and will elicit some questions and discussion from all of you. And in that vein, we really hope that it is following the high-level policy dialogue format. We'll be presenting a number of topics today, but we hope for feedback from all of you in these discussions.